Guys, it's going to be a video showing you how to easily solo master the Empire Hunt for the Triumph Master of the Hunts, where you have to get a Master Empire Hunt done flawlessly without dying. You can do this in a team or solo. This video just happens to be solo. This isn't going to be Platinum rank. If you want to see a Platinum rank being done, then that was my previous video. This is not that focus. The focus of this video is for somebody to get it done underpowered and not have to do like killing all the champions and what have you. So you can just literally run to the end, kill the boss, get your triumph done, and your Pinnacle reward while you're at it. So, as you saw, I spattered past all the initial champions, because obviously we don't need to kill those. There's no trigger for us to kill those to advance to the next zone. The only trigger is this first Vex boss. So, a good place to stand for the Vex boss is around about here. So, our loadout for weapons is Witherhoard, the exotic grey launcher, with Catalyst, and a solar pulse rifle, because we need anti-barrier, which you can get this from PvP. It drops in PvP regularly. Then also we have an arc sword on as well. The arc sword's going to help out here and there at the final boss, but you're not using your sword much. It's mainly Witherhoard and your pulse. So right now we're just using our smoke bomb, and we're using 6 Coyote. So bottom 3 Nightstalker, well, Hunters overall got nerfed the mobility, but it's not all that bad, because tier 10 ability before Beyond Light was 9 seconds. Now it's 11. It's been nerfed by 2 seconds, which means you can still bypass encounters with this subclass, as you're going to see in this run itself. So it's still the best class in PvE just because of what it can do. You'll still be able to solo Grandmaster Nightfalls with this subclass as we were doing, despite it getting nerfed. All we're doing is just hang around this area. We don't need to clear any ads. We can get some special finishes going if we need, because we've got that on our mods. Mainly we have Charge of Light build on. We've got Charged Up, which means we get an additional stack of Charge of Light, so we get ×3. We have stacks on stacks, so for every Charge of Light stack we get one for free, so it's ×2. Like off one shield break. We've got shield break charge as our focus. And then Grey Launcher reserves, a Concussive Dampener, obviously Grey Launcher Scavenger, and stuff like that. So when the Vex boss is killed with your Witherhoard and whatnot, you can invis through, take the box, and then go to the next part. Next part you can just run past all these ads. There'll be a couple of overload champs, dregs, all that stuff. You can just invis past those. This is just a video showing you how to easily do it for the Triumph and for the Pinnacle as well. If you just want to come on and get that done before reset, step on your Hunter. Even if you're below 1270, you can still do it the way I'm doing it. Not only that, we're not using Anarchy, of course, so we're using weapons that are more widely available. This arc sword was dropping a lot this last season and this season, so that's obtainable. The pulse rifle's common from PvP, so all these weapons are easily that most folk have, basically. We'll get a fresh invis around this corner. You don't want to fight the solar shanks from that cave area, because the overloads and all that stuff will get you from behind. So the way we do the fighting from this bit, because this is our first trigger, well, our second trigger, we need to clear ads in this room to advance to the next part. And the trigger for this room is the solar shanks, the exploder shanks, the heavy shank, and the anti-barrier. So we actually do need to kill 2 anti-barriers. That's why we've got the pulse on. That is the only reason. If it wasn't for that, I would maybe use something else. So this is the best area to stand. As you see, all the solar shanks will stand nicely for you. Just take them out. There'll be a couple of exploder shanks. They can't push you up here. You can get hit, but if you get hit, you can just back off or invis up. It's fine. We're gonna leave the anti-barrier champs till like last, after the shanks at least, and then we'll take the heavy shank at the end. The heavy shank can get shielded by the anti-barriers. I end up deciding to take the anti-barriers first, I believe. It would be quite possible though to take the heavy shank from back here. I was just missing my Witherhoard shots, but you can take them from here. But you can avoid that heavy shank when you go down below anyway. So what I'm doing here I wouldn't bother with. I would just leave the heavy shank and go for the anti-barrier. But we put a bit of damage in here and there anyways, so fine. Now we do have a special finisher on, that's key. I advise putting that on because Famine is on. That means you're not going to get the ammo drops. We've got grenade launcher ammo finder on our helmet as well, so that aids for it. But we need a lot of Witherhoard ammo. We're barely using our sword. The sword's just for the boss fight because the boss fight's dicey, so we're going on for that. I probably could have done it with another arc weapon. I maybe could have done it with a heavy grenade launcher, legendary arc. Interference would have worked okay. But the sword's invaluable for when captains are pushing and whatnot. This solar pulse has disruption break on it as well, so it's buffing our Witherhoard by 50%, which is a lot. We're literally just doing a Witherhoard shot, waiting for shield break. While we're waiting for the shield break, our Witherhoard's getting reloaded because of the catalyst. That's common knowledge. Just explain what's exactly going on. We're going to invis up so that the heavy shank doesn't melt us down as we go for a finisher. And then we're full on Witherhoard. You want to be full going to the next area because you're going to require a lot. That's the thing with Witherhoard, it's basically a kinetic version of Anarchy, and people don't agree with that, but that's what it is. It literally is. If we're talking about damage over time, ammo efficiency, that's what Anarchy does, that's what Witherhoard is. Those are the two best weapons in the game for that type of style of play. When you are underleveled, playing from range, you need a ranged weapon. It'll always be better than a sniper, always be better than a linear, always be better than a rocket, so on and so forth. Anarchy and Witherhoard will always be best for that stuff. Anarchy is definitely better, but when you want to put a sword on, obviously Witherhoard's a better choice because you can't run a sword. Anarchy. So, you know, they both have a place in the game. And for those that don't have Anarchy, which people won't have, it'll be more common now because of what's going on with the game changes, but you should be running Witherhoard most of the time for endgame, if you haven't got Anarchy. So with this section, like you saw at the start, I was spamming a lot of Witherhoard ammo on the ad spawn to try and get the two Vex bosses weak. They are the trigger, but we're going to clear this anti-barrier here. The reason for that, because this anti-barrier will not leave the area, so rather than avoid the sniper, it's better to just take that champion out. Not only that, it might drop ammo, or you might need to do a special finish. We could have done a tether down bottom as well, that would have been viable. Like as soon as all the ads spawning, I could have done a tether. That probably would have been the best idea. But it's whatever works. But like I said, the two Vex bosses in this area are the trigger. So there's two of them. You take two of them out, you shoot the boxes, and you can invis past the enemies. But like I said, you do want to kill some enemies just in the hope you get some special ammo and any finishes that you might need. Like this is a bit of a dicey situation here because there's the champion to my left and there's this ad that's headless that usually rushes you, but he's not pushing me for some reason, but I was wanting to get a finisher on him. So what I decided to do in the end was come close to this bit of cover and then just do Witherhoard at the Vex boss, because what will happen is if I push out where that Vex boss is, he's going to do his charge attack, which will wipe us, probably knock us into a wall because we're close to one, and physicals, and then it's a wipe. Which the whole idea of this video is that you do it flawless and you do it fast. You know, we're doing it in like 20 minutes, so it's not too bad for something like this. And we're not using Anarchy. So. There's another anti-barrier that's pushed, so I believe we take this one as well. Right now we're pretty weak. We're not close enough to the ad to get a smoke bomb back off them, so that's why we're sort of playing it safe. That's another Vex boss killed, so we don't end up killing this champion because we've got the final Vex boss. That's fine. Right now we're just invising up, getting some ammo. We'll do another special finisher here, I believe. So we're max on ammo. The lower your light is, the more safe you have to play. Obviously I was a little risky there doing what I did. But at 1271 you can take a bit of damage here and there. Concussive Dampener helps out huge. You want to be rocking the concussive. If you're lower than me, you want to be using double concussive. Forget the reserves. Staying alive is more important. Double concussive, and protect the protective light build that I've got on. The same thing. So we get to ×3, which I had earlier, I believe. When we get to ×3 charge of light, that's 3 opportunities for protective light to kick in, which it happens a couple of times where I get sheltered by void. So this next section is the brig. We don't need to kill the anti-barriers. Even if you're going for platinum, you don't need to kill the anti-barriers in this section. For whatever reason, these anti-barriers don't count towards platinum. If you're going for platinum run, like in a team run or a solo even, this part, you actually just melt down the brig and go on. Because there'll be a standard number of how many champions need to be killed to obtain platinum. There'll be more champions than what the number is. I haven't counted up all the champions, but there'll be somewhere around 16, 17, something like that. Well, with this, we just need to clear the brig, so we're going to use Witherhoard for that. The AI of this enemy just does his attack, which you can clearly see him doing it, so you've got plenty of time just to move back. There is Vex, like there's an arc pool behind us, so just be careful not to step into that too long. Use your nade when you can use Witherhoard, but don't use too much Witherhoard because you do want quite a bit for the boss fight. I end up using like 6-7 shots of Witherhoard, something like that, in total. Which is fine, of course, because we're going to get more ammo at the boss fight. And that's the thing I was saying about ammo efficiency. It's very good on ammo. Anarchy, you can have up to 30 shots with double reserves. I think it's 31. So in endgame stuff, the fact that those 2 shots do so much damage, that's why it's so viable. The interface is another, you can get a lot of ammo for that. Not quite as much as, you know, these two in terms of how efficient it is, but it does a lot of burst damage. That's why it's so strong. You know, when you got exotics like 1k voices and rockets that don't hold much ammo, so they do alright damage, but they just don't hold enough. That's the problem with this first phase of the boss. We're going to do a Witherhoard shot on the floor and a body shot, a nade, and then we're going to spam our tether. Spamming your tether at this time is critical so that we spawn kill a lot of the ads. So you're not only doing boss damage, but you're doing ad control. You need to get the boss to a third. As you can see, there'll be that little gap. When you get him there, just keep doing Witherhoard behind cover. He can 2-shot us at this power level, for me. The 1 shot gets us pretty weak. But going between cover to cover, he can't shoot twice. There's not enough time for that, for him. As long as you know, your movement's good and what have you. But for this second phase, it's a little bit dangerous because we haven't got a super. So we're going to do Witherhoard to either sides of the block. Why is that? Well, because if you do one side, the enemies will loop around to the other side. If you do 2, they have no choice just to come to you because they're all melee enemies. So they're just going to walk in that Witherhoard. We've got our sword out as well, because if we get melee too many times, that'll be a wipe. There will be one of them an orange bar, so you've got to look out for the marauder in bit. On this next phase, we have a load of solar shanks, which we're not going to have to deal with. We do have a solar primary on for that. So if we really wanted to farm up more ammo, we could with our solar pulse. But right now, all I'm going to do is farm up my nades and try to do a nade and a Witherhoard shot at the same time, basically. Nade, Witherhoard shot, and then back to cover. This play here is our cover, even though we can invis dodge around the map as well. That doesn't last as long as it used to. Like, it's not an infinite. Around about 6-7 dodges, you start to not have time to get a smoke bomb back. But that's 6-7 dodges. A smoke bomb lasts 7 seconds. You're saying you can have 7 seconds of invis 7 times before it starts to run out. That's huge. That's more than enough time to skip encounters. So this subclass is still going to be the best for PvE or endgame content, unfortunately, but that's just how it is. I like bottom tree Nightstalker, I do, but all the other subclasses aren't. Like the Titan's still weak, even though the Titan's got the new exotics. tell you already now, the Titan's still the weakest for PvE. For solo play anyways. For the stuff that I do, the Titan's the weak. I'm not saying that I'm not going to play on the Titan. Still play on the Titan. But the Hunter's going to be the strongest for, like, Grandmaster and Master level. Warlock in the middle, and then Titan the worst. We're just doing the same thing, as you can see, backing off, doing a Witherhoard, getting him to a 3rd HP. Try not to jump up like that and expose yourself too much. I was getting tick damage off his crystals, the move that he does, so just be careful and be aware of that at all times, because he could have sniped me out of the air there and killed me. Any ammo you see before that platform disappears, pick up, because what happens is the ammo will go into the arc pool. You can still grab it, but it's barely visible to see. If you're not 100% with that ammo bricks dropped, get it before the platform is invisible. That's the best thing. So with this last part, we're going to do the same strat as what we've done before. The thing is with this one is we have arc captains. If you get sniped once, back up. Forget about what you're doing and back up to this platform, even if we've got invis and what have you. I mean, if you've already invised up, but say if he got you while you're not invis, just back up instantly to this area here. Because even if you do an invis at your feet, if there's melee knights there, they can still get a melee off before your invis, before your smoke. And you might just get invis but get meleeed out of it. And then wipe. So you're not completely safe on this, is what I'm saying. You have 2 phases of this while the boss is immune. That means there'll be 2 captains per phase, a bunch of melee adds. If you do get the 2 captains like that, that's when you want to do your heavies or your lights, whatever you wish, but just make sure you're sword and behind cover. Yeah, that's the big thing. Now we've let that captain be finishable. This is part of the strat. At this point, you're probably low on ammo. Unless you took the shanks out previous, you're going to be low on Witherhoard. So, this is where the special finisher is going to come in. So do an invis, get a dodge before that. Special finisher. Get a bunch of bricks, which is handy. And then this is the actual final phase of it. So the boss now will roam around the map, kind of, to a certain extent. There'll be more captains, arc captains. And now there'll be a couple of ads that shoot you, I believe. Yeah, so there's a couple of vandals. So this phase is different to the other one, so it's actually worse because the latter phase had melee ads. We can control them, but we can't really control ranged enemies. So we need to make sure we take them out. So taking out the vandals is the best bet. Which I end up taking them all out, but you probably want to take them out quicker than what I did. Which you can just do that by going invis, dodge, kill them quickly with a sword, then re-invis up, and then back to your safe area. The captains and arc knights I wouldn't bother with, because they're melee, they can't hit us. We don't have to kill them now for the next phase, whereas the previous phase we had to kill the arc captains to get this phase. But right now we don't need to, so we can leave them up. If you're confident in getting a sword kill on them behind cover, do it. But otherwise, you don't need to. The boss will do his arc crystals, which as you can see sometimes they're like in mid-air, and you can potentially get frozen there. So whenever he does that move, back up down the stairs. Without shot can hit his crystals, which can be annoying. But what you want to do is get into a position where you're comfortable to Witherhoard the boss and not get shot by these captains. As you saw, he got me weak there, and then sheltered by the void kicked in. And at this point we're just biding our time, waiting for the right opportunity to nade and Witherhoard. We have a super as well, which we'll end up using. But what I didn't do, maybe what I should have done sooner, is just start going up there, invising, dodging and Witherhoarding. Because literally there's not much threat. But this was my first go at it on the hunter. Because I had this idea of where you can just get this done. You wouldn't get platinum, but people would still get a flawless run on it. Which is what they want, or the Pinnacle reward, and they just want to get that easy, right? And maybe they don't want to do it in your team, then this would be a decent video for that. So right now we're pretty safe. Like, the boss isn't gonna run and stomp at us. He does stomp though if you're close enough. You'll stay here, he stomps. But we're just gonna rotate around the map, keep going round. The ads are not melee, they're actually ranged, so I said that wrong before. But even then you can still control him by just run around the map. He's weak enough to do his tether, so we're just gonna do one. At the pack will kick in, so we get that damage resistance as well. If the captains did push, then got that. But the boss was basically finishable at that point. That was basically how to do the Master Empire Hunt to get your Pinnacle reward and to get the flawless triumph done on it. It isn't platinum, I understand that, but I've already done the platinum run on it. So if you want to see the platinum run, it was the video prior to this. Hope you enjoyed, thank you.